Hello, everybody. Welcome back to July's podcasting training, and today is day 5. Last week was day 4. I think I did day 2, day 3, day 4 last week, and today is Tuesday. We're doing day 5 of July's podcasting training, and today we are going to talk about the legalities of podcasting, what to think about, what to consider when it comes to bringing on guests onto your podcast, and how to cover your tracks and make sure that you understand the legal ramifications of not having anything written down and not having any kind of formal agreement before you enter into a podcast business partnership. And also doing guest interviews on other people's podcasts, along with you bringing on guests into your podcast. And that's my dog. He got a new toy, and it came with 13 squeaky little chew things. And I didn't realize that it did because I bought it on Amazon. So he is going to be squeaking away while we're doing this training. Okay, so the reason why podcasting, podcasting, you could do it as a hobby. However, in the sense of, putting out content, it's really a business, right? Whether you make money from it or not, you could still be breaking rules. And, with podcasting being, I can't do this with the dog and his squeaky. No, Miko, we can't do that. Go to your bed. Go to your bed. Go to your bed. Okay, so he's further away from me, so hopefully he'll be squeaking from afar. All right. So last year I partnered up with a entertainment LA media attorney, Gordon Firemark. And he had given us, this group actually, at the time when I first started the group back in October, he gave us oh my God, I can't do it. I can't do the training with him. I can't focus. Can you guys focus? All right, I'm gonna push through it. So Gordon Firemark is an attorney out of LA. He's an entertainment and media attorney. And he'd given us a podcasting boot camp training on what to look for legally, how to cover ourselves, why we want to cover ourselves. And he says, quote, podcasting is media, and like it or not, media is business. You've got to be businesslike about it. If you don't protect your content, your assets, and your sanity, someone will exploit it in the tiniest mistake to come and to take it all away. So the best strategies for that is for protection and to be well informed of things that you're partnering into in terms of podcasting and including people into your entrepreneurship, into your podcasting platform, and being on other people's podcasts. And I'd recently, actually it's in my goodies link. I always talk about the guest waiver form. And the reason why the guest waiver form is so important is because someone could actually sue you if you decided to change up your business or your podcast, ways of practice, right? So for example, Gordon Firemark had given us a reason and an example of how this played out. So there's this woman who had a motherhood podcast, and her motherhood podcast, in it, she would interview other, entrepreneurs that would fit with her audience and demographic. Along with that, she had sponsorships that would satisfy her motherhood audience. People who are either becoming parents or are parents and are dealing with raising little ones. And one of those sponsors was a lactation company or some sort of like breastfeeding company. And what happened was, years prior to taking on that sponsorship, she had interviewed someone who strongly disagreed on formula or something. Like, there was a disagreement, in the world of motherhood, people disagree on feeding your newborn formula, and people encourage, and it's looked down upon when you actually go straight to formula, because they think that people say that you're not being a good mom, and that it's taking away from the physical, that physical connection that your newborn craves when they are, still a little baby, when they're on you and they're feeding from you. There's like that level of connection. And so, there's a divide when it comes to breastfeeding moms versus non-breastfeeding moms, right? And the formula goers, which I fed my kids formula from the jump. So I felt the pressure immediately. So anyway, back to this scenario with attorney Firemark sharing, the lady who had brought on this prior sponsorship completely disagreed with a new sponsorship where she was promoting formula. And it was completely against her ethics, and it went against, the contradictory between the two brands clashed. And that is when the lawsuit ensued, because of that ethical, difference. So no one had any paperwork to cover themselves. They had to go into a suit for that, and it cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars to figure out, because by then the podcast was making a ton of money, and the brand actually became something. And they didn't know at that time, prior to putting on guests into the program or into the podcast, they didn't know that it was going to be such a huge podcast and a huge brand where they would actually lose some money. So in the terms of legality, it's always good to have things in writing. Another thing he talks about is going into partnership with people in your podcast. So let's say, especially for the newbies who are content creating and aren't sure of the topics they want to talk about, they will want to partner up with someone else because of that insecurity of, well, can I carry my own podcast, right, on my own? So they want to almost partner with someone else to have that kind of powerhouse. And a lot of the times people will do it and not cover themselves legally. And then they go into partnership recording podcasts, and they don't have any kind of business paperwork. They don't know, there's no statements of who owns what, where is it being recorded, is it being recorded at his house or her house, where is all of that content going to be archived, and then in the end, who's going to get paid, and how is the payment going to be broken up. And when you are a small podcast, it doesn't matter, right? But once you start actually bringing in some advertising, and let's say clients, your audience turns into clients, you're going to want to think about how to turn that hobby approach of bringing on another person in your podcast into actual business partnership agreement. So he also talks about the importance of that. And then he talks about, so we spoke about the guest waiver form, we spoke about the host agreement, and then he also has a boot camp of how to protect yourself as a podcaster, and then also to protect your content that you're creating, to ensure that nobody copies it. And all of the documents I'll go ahead and link at the bottom, along with his link, so you can see what he offers. But the waiver form is available to you. I am not an attorney. I actually do use this myself, and a lot of people have downloaded the same waiver form. and you can just change the name, take a look at the terms of it. It's a really short document. It just pretty much says that anything that you're talking about during the podcast is, the person that is on the show with you, they release the intellectual property. It's going to be yours, and there's no legal binding agreement or payment that is rendered, right? So that's really huge when you are a podcaster, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and link all of that below. And I hope this part was helpful for you guys, because I know that, a lot of people will go into podcasting and think that it's just this fun thing to do. But, podcasting really does involve a lot of people, right? It involves a lot of people here in this group actually have like homies that they record with, like friends of friends, best friends. You guys go into a show together, and you don't ever think about, well, what would happen if we actually were converting ads? What happens if we turn this into some sort of crazy business and we didn't think about any kind of legal paperwork that defines who owns what? And that's when things get messy and feelings get hurt. And I know personally how it's like to lose a friend over business. And years ago, I went into a business when I was 21, and she was like my best friend, like for real, down home, like home girl. Like she was one of the ones that's like, you looked at her and she looked at me, and we knew exactly what we were thinking, kind of like twin souls. But the moment business was involved, it was very, like it was, we were selfish. I think there was a level of selfishness there and fear. We didn't know how we were going to operate if we lost capital, right? So we didn't properly get the legal documents in line, and we didn't realize the kind of loss we would have had going into business with each other. So you got to think about it. If you are going into podcasting with somebody, you definitely have to look at a host agreement. And then also, do you trust the person enough for them to be a writer for you, and that you would be a writer for them? And if you say yes, then I still wouldn't do it. After the experience I've had with, being a podcaster or being an entrepreneur and being in business with the best friend, and things just went south really bad, really fast. So anyway, I will go ahead and link all of that below. If you guys have any questions, definitely reach out to me. I am in touch with our attorney, Gordon Firemark, who is an LA media attorney. He definitely is well-versed in this, guys, and has a ton of experience, and has experience obviously in the media, right? And this is new media. Podcasting is a form of new media that a lot of rules are still being formulated. And in fact, some rules are not even created yet. People really don't know what's going to happen if, things, I don't know, like there's just stuff that is gray right now. And it's always better to have things on paper and in your favor. Okay, guys? All right, so that is it for today. I hope you guys found this valuable. We are going to do day 6 here, either today or the following day, and we're going to talk about show format and segments. All right, guys, have an amazing day, and thank you so much for being here.